In Super Mario RPG, Mario teams up with a talking frog cloud and a living doll in order to take down an army of living weapons to save the Mushroom Kingdom. And today we're going to go over all the major details, so pull up a chair and let's discuss the full story of Super Mario RPG. Outside of Mario's bachelor pad is Princess Peach, who remains unguarded as usual and is picking flowers. But since it's a Friday, Bowser decides to kidnap the princess and drag her to his castle in the mountain. This causes Mario to jump into action, and he follows Bowser towards the castle. Inside the castle and approaching the throne room, Mario sees an empty chair, and then up above, Bowser and Peach in the chandeliers. The fight occurs where Mario decides the best course of action is to break the rope that supports Bowser's chandelier, which causes Bowser to start falling rapidly towards the ground. And Bowser, not letting Mario get one up on him, decides to throw a hammer and also break his chain. So now Mario and Bowser are both falling, but Mario uses Bowser as a spring pad and uses this jump boost to free the princess, who's suspended hundreds of feet above the ground. Luckily, this detail is not needed to be followed up on because out of nowhere, an absolute unit of a sword appears from the heavens and plants itself firmly in the middle of Bowser's keep, causing Mario to be ejected from the castle and flying all the way back towards his bachelor pad. Beaten and bruised, a motivating speech by a toad sends Mario back towards Bowser's keep to yell at the sword, who then declares Bowser's keep is now property of Smithy's gang and destroys the bridge, preventing anyone from approaching the keep again. So now with Peach trapped in Bowser's keep again, Toad thinks the best course of action is to go to the Mushroom Kingdom to report this to the Mushroom Chancellor. So we go and learn the basics of fighting and save Toad from a hammer bro before ending up in the Mushroom Kingdom. With the Chancellor informed, Mario sets out to free the princess, but our scheming gets interrupted by a giant puffball chasing a dinosaur through the streets. Turns out this dinosaur took Mallow, the frog's money, and now he can't complete errands for his grandfather. So Mario, realizing that helping Mallow trumps freeing Peach at the moment, decides to help Mallow by chasing down the dinosaur in Bandit's Row. And to be fair, Mallow can impact the weather with his emotions, so this could definitely prove useful. Anyway, we beat up the dinosaur and we get Mallow's pocket change back, and we're able to go to the Mushroom Kingdom, but now it's dark and ominous, and it has Shy Guys on pogo sticks that are causing mayhem. Now it turns out these pogo guys are working for a devil riding a sentient claymore named Clay Morton, who has taken over the throne room. But Mario and Mallow quickly deal with the situation and free the Mushroom Kingdom from their bouncing oppressors and claim a weird, shiny star in the process. Mario has no idea what this does, and God knows Mallow doesn't know what's going on, but hey, if it serves no purpose, it's at least nice to look at. So with Mushroom Kingdom liberated and Mallow's shopping done, Mallow insists on going to see his grandfather, because frogs are wise as hell. So the pair walk through the sewer system and fight a hungry demon thing who's napping on a button that prevented the entire sewer from flooding. Yeah, I don't know, but after you defeat the demon, water rushes out and sends Mario on a barrel-themed riding adventure down the side of the mountain. But luckily, this water seemed to have given Mario the boost he needed to get to the Tadpole Pond in record time, where we meet Mallow's grandfather. Now, of course, frogs are super wise in this universe, and the wisdom that our frog sage gives us is, gee, I heard there's another star piece around Rose Town, maybe you should go there, which is honestly good enough for Mario and Mallow, who set off immediately down Rose Path, only for us to find that Bowser has also been kicked out of his castle and is amassing an army to go and take it back. Anyway, Mario gets to Rose Town, who has a bit of a paralysis problem going on. You can kind of see these magical arrows that keep flying in from the forest outside of town, and anyone who gets hit is immediately frozen in place. So as you brave the barrage and tour around the town, you eventually meet a little kid who's playing with his action figures, Mario, Peach, Bowser, and Geno. Now, Mario decides to babysit and entertain the kid, who takes this as the perfect opportunity to showcase that the Geno action figure has a pellet machine gun inside of its arm. If that's enough fun for one day, it's time to sleep. And what an eventful sleep it is, because we see off screen that some sort of shine sprite thing possesses Geno the doll and then walks dramatically off screen. This gets reported to us by the child that he saw Geno grow 4 times its size and walk outside of the house and head towards the forest. And thinking that this sounds just thrilling, Mario and Mallow decide to follow him, because if weird won't find you, you gotta find the weird. So into the forest they go, where they beat up wigglers and chase Geno through a maze. Eventually we see the source of the arrows, which is of course a sentient bow named Bowyer, who has just been delivered a green variant of the star that we found inside the Mushroom Kingdom. Now Geno pops out of nowhere and decides to try and solo this encounter, but Mario, being the glory hog that he is, doesn't let Geno have all the fun. So the trio kicks Bowyer and gets the star piece, and Geno finally explains the overarching plot of the game. You see, Geno, or rather the sprite possessing Geno, is from a magical place called the Star Road, where everyone's wishes go to get granted. Now, when the giant sword broke up Bowser's keep, Star Road also got broken up. So Geno got sent to go and put the star pieces back together in order to repair the road. So now at least we have an objective. We have to beat up Smithy's gang to get star pieces and repair Star Road so that afterwards, people can have their wishes answered again. And even more luckily than that, Gino heard the bad guys talking about a star piece that appeared in Moleville to the west. So we at least have a direction to go. So with a brief detour, the trio goes through the pipe to liberate the Yoshis from the tyrannical rule of Eboshi, who refuses to let the Yoshis have group races and only lets them 1v1 him. But eventually we end up in Moleville. And in Moleville, things are also not good. Bowser's here with a small fraction of his army. Apparently they got their ass kicked and are now struggling to know where to go. But they have heard a rumor of a magical princess west in Booster's Tower, so they're going there next. But as for Moleville, Moleville has bigger problem. There was a cave-in and now a few kids are stuck in the mines. And it's only with Mario's intense vertical leap that he can get up into the mine shaft and work to free them. So our trio heads to the mine, gets heavily concussed by a trapped spring pad, and chases the same thieving dinosaur through the mines to get their money back. But after beating up the dinosaur again, we also get a small explosive device, which proves useful to clearing debris that was blocking our way before, so that's nice. And behind the debris, we see the probable source of the cave-in, Punchinello the Bomb Bag, who gets beaten down, but in a final act of defiance, plops down a mega bomb that blows a giant hole in the current sector of the mine. But this actually works out in Mario's favor for some reason, because now the star piece is collectible, and even more debris is cleared, so we can go and save the children by playing a minecart video game and flying directly into the children's home. But ever grateful for the return of their kids, the Elder Moles don't even care about the giant hole that's now in their roof, so it's off for us to go to Booster Tower to chase this rumor of the magical princess. Arriving at Booster Tower, we catch Bowser having a sad boy moment about his castle, before noticing the heroes and, well, running away. But after experiencing the hardest puzzle to date, a locked door, we realize that our hopes of continuing are done for if we cannot break in. Luckily, Bowser decides to use his innate lockpicking abilities to get us inside, and after agreeing to be Bowser's minions for a little bit, Mario gets a fourth party member. So our party climbs the tower, gets attacked by Booster a few times, we take a brief trip down memory lane, and we even free a rebellious Chain Chomp. Eventually, we do get to the top of the tower, and we are once again halted by a locked door, but this one's magic. But before Bowser can even try to knock it down, Booster and his henchmen come upstairs to do a wedding ceremony walkthrough. But they cannot proceed unless they find the Mario doll. So Mario has to hide behind curtains to avoid being found as the henchmen look for the doll that's just sitting above the cabinet. So eventually they open all the curtains at once, and this is okay because Mario gets Booster his dolls, so things are fine, I guess. And Booster and his henchmen run out the door, which reveals that Peach is actually the magic princess and that Booster wants to marry her. So after dealing with a couple clowns, we chase Peach up the hillside and end up in this town of Marymore, where we now need to stop a wedding and save our princess. But first, the VIP room of the hotel calls to us for a nap. Recharged and ready to brawl, we sneak into the wedding venue by using the cook's entrance in the back. And after stomping on the wedding cake, we stop the wedding. Peach is so sad that we can't do anything else until her items are returned. So everyone in the venue sets out to find her things so that the wedding can continue. But since Mario finds all the things, the wedding gets called off. Peach obviously is happy about this and decides to plant one big kiss on Mario. But this makes Booster and Bowser very jealous. So they all try to go in for the kiss at once, and all of the boys end up kissing each other, which makes Peach very happy. But happiness cannot last long, as the cooks come to get revenge on Mario for stepping on the cake. And it's not until the party breaks the cake into a more sizable portion that Booster decides he's able to redeem himself by eating this big bad cake in one giant bite. Calling it all even, the party, who is now joined by Peach, heads back to the Mushroom Kingdom to report that, well, Peach has been found. Thrilled with the return of the princess, and honestly quite confused at why Mario is traveling with Bowser, the party is formally tasked with ending Smithy's gang so that they can go back to normal. But in order to do that, they need more star pieces. And who can we go to in order to hear the latest gossip in the world? That's right, it's back to Tadpole Pond to talk to Mallow's grandpa. Grandfather Toad decides to drop the absolute lore bomb on Mallow, stating very clearly that Mallow is in fact not a frog. And hopefully while they're out exploring, he will find his real family. The Elder also heard of a star piece being spotted on Star Hill, which, to be fair, if I knew existed, would have definitely been a place I would have put on my check it out list as well. So the group travels to Star Road and finds a purple star piece, and then heads over to Seaside Town to see if they've heard any rumors of any other stars that have fallen from the sky. And I will be honest, Seaside Town is creepy as hell. Something in the way they speak is just off. And the music didn't help. We do get a lead. Apparently a star piece did fall inside of a shipwreck off the coast, and a pirate now owns it. So with a big gulp of air, we descend into a pirate ship, deduce the puzzle is talking about pearls, and fight a giant octopus. And funny enough, the octopus was not the final boss of this area. We still have a pirate to find. And I don't know what I was expecting. I was kind of expecting a ghost pirate or some other spirit. That is not the case. The pirates are talking sharks, who do get the beatdown of their lives regardless, but it was nice to be surprised. And with the shock over, a pink star piece now in hand, we head back to Seaside Village and for some reason we decide to give this newly found star piece to the town elder, who is revealed to be Spiritovich. So now we have to chase this Smithy's gang member through the town, and we managed to catch them because the pirates swam up and just yelled at them like a Karen for daring to take their present that was meant for Mario. So after the smoke clears and we get our pink star back, a note was left by the pirates that points us towards the magical Land's End, where they apparently saw a giant flying axe. So we get through Land's End, a bunch of donuts, and end up at a temple with a creature called Malone. Now you might recognize Malone from earlier in the video, and if you did, good job. You have a better memory than me at this point, because it wasn't until laying eyes on the demon creature that I remembered we had beaten this thing once before. But what's another beatdown, and after Malone falls, we get to enter into Monstro Town. Now Monstro Town is home to, well, monsters. And after finding over half of Bowser's army taking up roost here after defecting from the war effort, Bowser forgives them and wishes them well. Regardless, the town elder of Monstro Town loads us a squad of paratroopers who will help us climb into the sky to get into Bean Valley. So on our journey to Bean Valley, we beat up a giant piranha plant, climb several beanstalks, and end up inside of Nimbus Land, which is on a giant cloud. And after walking into the town square, we gain the following pieces of key information about someone named Valentina. First of all, the king is sick and everyone is super concerned about that. And this concern is probably misplaced because Valentina has found the long missing Prince Mallow, who looks like a giant toucan. Oh, and this Prince Mallow has agreed to marry Valentina, so she is going to be queen soon. Armed with all of this information, Mallow thinks really hard and chalks this all up to coincidence that this giant bird creature in a town full of clouds shares his name. And after exploring the town a bit, we find a statue of the old king as a boy. And this is of course a spitting image of Mallow. So knowing what must be done, the sculpture maker reveals the best way to get into the castle is by painting Mario standard gold so that he can blend in with the next sculpture order, which allows him to sneak inside of the castle and end Valentina's schemes. And surprisingly, this plan works like a charm. You get inside the keep, you bewilder the toucan, and you explore the castle undetected. Eventually you do have to fight Birdo, which is kind of weird, but hey, they were guarding the royal chambers, so it was a necessary evil, I guess. Anyway, after finding Valentina and chasing them around, we get baited into walking out of a window and fall several hundred feet. Now, luckily clouds are soft and Mario immediately heads back to the Nimbus town square, where Valentina summons the Dodo Toucan to fight and defend her. Cocktail in hand and Dodo Toucan demanding a respectable 1v1 with Geno, we enter into a genuinely fun boss fight that naturally ends with spilled drinks, expelled evils, and the key to the king's bedroom. The family reunion is short and sweet, and we will never get an answer on why they sent Mallow down the river as a child. But the good news is they did see a starpiece falling into a volcano a few days ago, so after a brief stop in a hot spring, we dive into a volcano, we meet up with an exploding toad who helps us find the Tsar dragon, and we promptly smack it down, get the confirmed kill by also beating down its sentient skeleton, and then just as we're about to claim our next star, it gets stolen by a bunch of oddly colored children who speak in patterns. That's right, we're fighting the Power Rangers. So after we chase these Axum Rangers onto their ship, we beat them all to a pulp and claim our next star piece. Now all that's left to do is take the magic cloud bus from Nimbus Land to Bowser's Keep to defeat Smithy, which is easy enough, and off our bus goes. Now landing at Bowser's castle, we scare some minions and the dinosaur becomes our final shopkeeper, which no one stops to ask where he got all of these goods, but whatever, I do need more mushrooms, so we're just going to ignore this. Traversing the final dungeon, we play some minigames, fight some bosses, and eventually ascend to fight Smithy the Giant Sword. Except something I never stopped to consider is that the sword is not actually Smithy. So Mario ends up fighting Exor the Giant Sword, who does not have the final star piece, but does have a magic mouth that sucks our party into a different dimension. So now the real final dungeon can begin, where you take on late-stage capitalism, disrupting supply lines and beating down an entire corporate structure. Eventually you do find the CEO, who is Smithy himself. Laying the beat down on the forge only makes Smithy mad, and with a final swing of his hammer, the ground gives out, where you now fight Smithy's final form in the pits of an alternate dimension. But after beating whatever the heck this is supposed to be into oblivion, we claim our final star piece. And with the last star piece in hand, the sprite inhabiting Geno breaks free of its toy form and takes the star pieces back to the heavens to reform Star Road. A journey fulfilled. With a Star Road completed, Smithy defeated, the remaining army gets snapped to dust, and the troop takes center stage for a final bow. Game over.